What is up, everybody? It's me, Duke Farley, back at it again here on Lost at Sea, and I am joined by last year's winner of Ascendance Live to talk a little bit more Ascendance Live tonight, Drew. Drew, what's going on, man?
Oh, not much, and it's crazy being on this side of things again. It's nuts. It's bringing me back to the moments and whew, all the stress and drama's coming back. But tonight was a doozy. I'm excited to talk about it.
Is it more fun to be on this side or actually in the game?
Well, I'll say it's a mixture of both. It's a catch-22. It's fun being in that environment, but it's super stressful. But I love watching it too. Like this season is bringing great TV. I'll tell you that. I know we always get critiqued for we didn't do that much. We were very kind of laid back and boring, but this season's bringing it. That's for sure.
This season is bringing it, and a lot of people said that last episode, was the one of the best episodes that. Oh my goodness.
I was like, what is happening? It said nope.
That happens every now and then. I don't know
Weird.
why. Um, but as I was saying, last episode we were left with a cliffhanger where there was an argument, probably the biggest public argument in this season, and we got to the conclusion of that argument tonight to lead off this episode. So I want to ask you, Drew. I don't recall many public arguments in season two, if any,
I don't
but
think there was, no.
what did you think about the main players that were a part of this argument, and how they came out looking on the other end of the argument?
Yeah. So crazy, crazy. Like a room of nine. I feel like there was like nine people in there. It's
Coming and
nuts. But
going.
right, I was like, holy crap. But then there was only three really like focal points. There was well, four if you include Sarah too. So there was Sarah, Madison, Emily, and Ozzy. And then somehow then CJ gets pulled in. It was a mess. But at the end of that, how I came across Sarah, I think, came across really good in that. And I think Ozzy came across really good in that. And CJ, because he got pulled in at the last. But Emily and Madison, I really think it hurt both of them. If I'm being honest, Emily, because she couldn't own up and give a name. And then Madison for being so blunt and straightforward. Yeah, I understand. I've been there. Sleep is important. So when you don't have sleep, you do crazy things. And I think Madison being so blunt kind of hurt her game, as we can kind of see later on in the episode. I think that helped played a little bit of factor into it, but it did not help her case, that's for sure. But Ozzy came out good, CJ came out good, Sarah is gonna be a dark horse in this game. Like I have high hopes for Sarah. She's in a really, really good spot, I feel like. And this definitely helped her.
I do think that Sarah did come out probably scot-free during the argument. I
I agree.
will say that this round, the captains were kind of, mainly AJ talks about it, we're kind of setting this trio of Madison, Ozzy, and Sarah up to get rid of somebody.
Yep.
So I will say, her name's, been brought up as being a part of a trio. Obviously, Madison leaving here lessens that. I do want to give props, however, to Emily.
Yeah, she
That
held her own.
she held her own. It's tough to everybody in the room is
Coming at
against
you.
you. And I thought she came out looking okay.
Yeah, I
And
do too. It wasn't
I was
super
like an
bad.
impossible situation, I felt like, for her.
It was. If I was in her shoes, I would have crumbled. I probably would have cried. So I think she held herself very, very well in that situation. It could have been much, much worse for her, I feel like. And yeah, I agree with you on that.
So I want to give her props for coming out of that alive. And so the biggest thing I thought was nothing was really discussed about the actual votes until the next day.
Yeah.
So it was kind of irrelevant. I mean, the whole argument was basically Emily, you're saying stuff, maybe trying to put targets on people's backs, not really recalling where information's coming from. But then we kind of get into the meat and bones of the actual votes in the morning.
Yep.
Uh, Anything surprising to you in terms of why the people that were voted out were voted out?
Um, I'm gonna be honest and say no. I think it was pretty apparent. Keaton has been grasping since the very first round. I have to give Keaton props. His boot this time, rough to watch. And I like that he wasn't blindsided like we blindsided him in season two. I'm glad he at least knew and had a chance to fight, and he fought to the bitter end. I know how bad he wanted it. That was brutal, but with the team he was put on, I just think it was stacked against him. And with the target being Madison on the other team and then wanting to split a trio, that didn't work in his favor either. If it was someone else that was going to go on the other team, I see they may have voted Ozzy out instead of Keaton. But it's just how the teams fell that screwed him over.
I
And
agree.
then, yeah.
I think I've been hard on Keaton's gameplay in the first like 2 or 3 rounds, but watching him last round and then this round he kind of had the deck stacked against him no matter what. I do also want to give him props. He gave it his all this season again, and he came up a little short, but I think he grew as
Oh,
a
I do
player.
too. I do too. It's you can tell the difference from Keaton from season two to Keaton to season three. He was he pulled yes, he was starting to be himself again in the beginning of this season, but he pulled back, which I think really helped him. But again, it's just the luck of the draw that really truly screwed him over this time.
Yeah, and it seemed like there was a little bit of a glimmer of hope. It seemed like maybe people were considering voting out Ozzy, but when it came down to it, the ultimate decision was made to vote out Keaton because they wanted to kind of keep some of the trio in as a shield. It seemed like the players in that were, AJ, Rocky, Billy kind of had some sway, but we see Billy and Taylor talk about throwing votes just in case powers are played on both sides.
Which I think is super smart. It's going to protect them, so they're not screwed over. So smart thinking there. And I think both sides only had two votes for the people, right? I think Emily got two and Ozzy got two. Smart on their part. It would have protected them. I like their thinking. Part of me was like, is this going to be crazy where they forget who's throwing votes where and two more people throw it on Ozzy and Ozzy goes instead of Keaton? I was like, oh my gosh, is that what's going to happen? But they're not dumb. They're not dummies. They knew to talk. So,
I was
yeah,
thinking maybe Billy was going to try to play some chess and
right.
get Taylor to throw a vote and then maybe try to flip it onto Ozzy last
Yeah, that's
second
what.
to keep
Yeah,
Keaton.
I could have saw him doing that. I was like, is he gonna say he's voting for Keaton, but then he gets someone else to do Ozzy, and then he throws his vote on Ozzy too? But I think Billy didn't want to start stuff this early. I know he has it in him, but he wasn't ready to do that yet, especially with having a pendant in your pocket, which sucks for him that Josh was there when he found it, if I'm being honest, because loose lips sink ships, and this is exactly why I told no one about my pendant. Billy told Josh. Josh told Kira. Who knows if Kira's going to tell anybody? I think that's going to screw Billy over. Josh is setting himself up very well, I think, and he's not afraid to be ruthless. He's not afraid to be a villain, and I
Not afraid to
love it.
stab somebody with an invisible knife.
Right? He said, "You better bring those
Whoa.
invisible knives." He said, "Pull that out of your pocket, Ollie. Use that invisible knife." I was like, "Whoa,
Jeez.
whoa, Josh. He's being savage." And hey, sometimes you got to be that way in Ascendance. So I don't blame him. I loved the scene with him outside being savage and wanting to hoping Emily goes so he gets that power. He's thinking two steps ahead, and that's what you got to do in this game. So kudos to him.
He said that he's running the data on that. I was like, wow.
Look at him.
He's just
I'd
running
like to
data
see that
outside
data.
right now.
Yeah, he's literally running the data. Clearly, he sounded out of breath in that. I feel like everyone sounds out of breath in these games because those you see all those hills that are at that house, nuts, nuts.
So Keaton's eliminated here. I do want to touch on Billy. I think Billy has been playing. He's been ramping up real well. I
I
think
agree.
as soon as he got this pendant, we kind of see Billy taking a couple steps back, which I really
Smart.
like. He's kind
Mm-hmm.
of letting the game, be played, but like not being too passive. He's involved with these conversations. And it was funny. Somebody was talking about I think it was when they were out on the porch, Emily, Madison, and Billy, and they were like, "Yeah, Keaton might have a pendant," and Billy's just like,
He just sits there and says nothing. I was like, Billy smart. Billy smart, and I agree. Him reeling his stuff back in, kudos to him. I really was worried for him. I thought he was going to come in playing guns a blazing, but he's playing this very smart. I do, but again, I think his downfall is going to be Josh. Josh, I think he will do whatever it takes. If it's flushing a pendant, if it's getting Billy to give him a pendant, Josh will do whatever it takes. So I think that's going to be Billy's downfall, but I do agree that Billy's playing a good game right now.
let me ask you this, Drew. Would you rather be in the position of, say, Billy or Emily and have, either the pendant of power in your possession, or Emily has this ascendance advantage in her possession? Or would you rather be the person that knows that, like Josh, and can use the information of the power?
Oh, 100% no. I would want 100% no. I know I'm saying that as I had two pendants last season, but 100% I'd rather know about, like, okay, I'd rather know about it because, like, if that pool one was found by someone else, I would have rather known that, so then I could use that to my advantage, make them seem like a bigger target, which is what Josh is doing right now. He's making Billy look like this threat for having this pendant. I think knowing about it can reel people in and give trust to you. Whereas if you have it, you have to be careful with what you say, who you trust. It's a very fine line to play. It's really hard to have a pendant and use it correctly or trust the right people. So I'd rather be in Josh's shoes. That's funny coming from me since I had two of them last season, but yeah, I'd rather be in his shoes.
Yeah, Josh, I think it's similar to what I said about Billy. I think he's starting to ramp up too. I thought it was great that we got to see him outside looking kind of for powers. I thought, what was he just on a run right now? And
Yeah,
then
and I
he's
was
doing
like,
confessionals. It was
he's like,
great.
I'm going to do a confessional. I'm going to get my morning run in. I'm going to look for some powers. Y'all get away. I don't want to deal with that drama in that vote. And I don't blame him.
And I think another thing that, before we talk about the second elimination, another thing that I wanted to say is I feel like there's an advantage with these people that did not have to be up, that were safe during the vote, because they get that extra rest. They don't have to worry about the stress of it. You probably can't sleep well, knowing that you're going to a morning elimination. So the Kiara, the Josh, the somebody else. I think
Now, I,
Sarah
yes,
probably
is
slept
Sarah.
pretty well. Well, she
Yeah,
was in the mix though a little bit,
oh, yeah.
but
And then I would say Rory too, because he wasn't in the mix, but Rory got thrown in the mix because he went and
Roy was a
ran his mouth. So yeah.
little the mix there.
Yeah, a little on the mix. So, but
Um,
yeah,
but
I
yeah,
agree. Sleep is important. So those who
sleep.
got that, I think it's going to vary. They may have not been in the drama knowing all of it. It's going to help them to this new day because they're going to be refreshed. They're going to be able to think of things where other people may crack because they haven't had the sleep that they needed.
Yeah. And so let's talk about the second elimination. Also similar to Keaton, I feel like Madison was set up here not to be in a great position. And then once kind of AJ and I think Billy kind of sunk their teeth into this trio here, it was kind of, that was the fate for Madison here.
Oh, for sure. Because I know at the beginning of last episode, they said they set these teams up to have a Sarah and Ozzy and Madison split up. So at least one of them has a chance to go. So I do think she was doomed there. The fight didn't help her at all. I don't think. Keaton being how Keaton is and them now getting Keaton out there, like we need to get at least one of these duos out. And I think Emily's bonds that she made earlier on really came in clutch here. CJ
Yes.
fighting for her, AJ's fighting for her. You have so many people fighting for her, which is
Ali
nuts. Ali's fighting for her. So these bonds that she's making
and Billy.
really helped her. Yep. That's all she needed.
And it seems like I don't know if it's going to be a permanent thing, but we're kind of getting hints. We got a hint, I feel like, to something forming. There was a Rocky, I think, talking to AJ about we need to lock something in. I saw that. So I don't know if that's foreshadowing of some sort of alliance forming there. We saw last episode the five people in that room, the Emily, CJ, I think Rory. He named it, and I don't know
Emily,
if he was
CJ, Rory, Josh. I don't know who the fifth one
and
is. I
Ali,
cannot.
I think.
Oh, and
And
Ali.
then
Okay.
I think Rory named it something about a wrestler that he was
I
not
can't
afraid of him.
remember. Yeah, I was like, the I don't remember the name of it if I'm being honest,
I don't
because they all
either.
were like they all were like,
Oh, I think it's No Fear. No
oh, no
Fear.
fear. Yes, that's what it is.
But I
No
don't know if
fear.
he's taking it seriously, but that's a thing. That could
Hmm.
be a thing that people rely on as a, because we don't really see anything as like solidified as season one or in your season where, you guys had the four.
Yep.
But maybe we're alluding to something down the line.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I know because the talk has been the trio, the trio, the trio. So now that the trio split up, there's going to be pairs that maybe will group together. I like the deadly duo of Rocky and AJ, if I'm being honest. That hidden duo there, I think can play a factor in both their places. Obviously, we see that Rocky's super close to Taylor. Maybe they'll rope in AJ and form something. But honestly, AJ, even though he's not gone to eliminations except this last one, he's in a really, really, really good spot. I think people come to him, people want to use him. People always his name hasn't come out except I think there was one time where someone said they're together, like CJ, AJ, and someone else. I think Rocky brought that up to Billy,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I think something's going to be a brewing, like you said. Something's going to get formed here. This is about the time in the game where people get locked down. Like this is where mine got locked down pretty much this last prior night and into this morning. So I think something's gonna happen.
And I think these sides that are kind of forming are very like, there's going to be a power struggle because I think both sides are very strong. I think, you have Emily's, Billy, Rory,
DJ.
Ali, CJ, possibly Kiara on that side being connected in, and they have a lot of power, like literal powers in the game.
Yep.
Whereas the other side, not as many like hard hitting powers, but will they use the big powers that they have on their side to, further an alliance? We don't know. Or are they going to take it more of an individual approach?
That is very true. Because they again, yeah, like you said, that side only really has Rocky's power, which I like to say it's the winner's power because both Edmund and I had that in our seasons. Edmund didn't use it, I did. So I'm curious to see what Rocky will do with it. That's the join a
Yeah.
vote power.
That
I
was the
use that
power
to help
that you
my.
used to get rid of Paul, right?
Yep, that was the power that I hoped to. That was the power that I used as a not an individual thing. I use it as a protection of my alliance thing. So I'm curious to
Right.
see if Rocky will use it as a. I feel like that's a power you can use as to protect your alliance because you're safe anyway. So how's it really benefiting you? It is and isn't. It's a mixture of both. So
Let's talk about moving past these two votes, the people's names that were kind of up as oppositions. Do you think that they have longevity? Do you think Ozzy, now that his name's been brought up, is in danger of going home? And then same with Emily. Do you think that now her name is out there? You know, both of them were in the public confrontation. Do you think that those are the new names that might take over as we need to vote them out?
I I don't think so, honestly. Now with Madison gone, that deteriorates Ozzy's threat because they were the tight duo from literal night. Like I was like, I saw it, and I was like, what are y'all doing? Y'all gonna get targets. And clearly Madison had to go because of that. But I think out of the two, Emily's more likely to go. But Emily is super protected too. Like the people fought for her to stay. I think I think we're gonna be surprised and a new name's gonna come up that people want to target. I think Ozzy and Emily are gonna be in the clear for a little bit.
Yeah, and we might be approaching jury pretty soon, most
Should
likely
be
11 or
11.
9, right?
Usually should be 11. So two more votes. So two more people
Yeah.
go before pre-jury. I don't think it's going to be either of them.
It'll be interesting to see, Drew, how this kind of shakes up. I think how the captains, shake out are going to be
Mm-hmm.
really telling on, how people start setting up their teams.
100%. It's going to all come down to the captains. In this situation with two sides that seem to be fairly evident, it's going to be super crucial that whoever wins that captain, they're going to set up their side the best, and that's
Yeah.
what's going to help this end game.
And you gotta think about what you're doing when you're picking those teams.
You do,
Because
you do.
we've seen it
you
before.
We've seen it before where you go, and again, for all you out there, pick one person you trust, one you don't, and then start building from there because you may think you still have people to pick from, and they're like, okay, the people left over, y'all a team, and now you're like,
Yeah.
well, fuck, I have no one to vote if we lose. So be smart and do that, but we'll see if people do that. Who knows?
Well, Drew, we've talked all about this episode 6, I think it is. Anything that we haven't covered that you want to talk about?
No, like I think I've touched based on all of it. I think there's a lot of people. They all came to play. I'll say that they're all came to play. It's nuts. I don't see a clear front runner. Like, yeah, I may lean towards AJ or people like that, but there's other people who are just as good as AJ. So it's like, how can you even make a decision on that? I think this end game is going to be nuts, nuts.
I think it's safe to say that the game is blown wide open right now.
It is very much so. We're lost at sea, baby. We're lost at sea.
Let's get found.
Let's do it.
All right, Drew, thank you so much again for coming on. We'll have to talk one more time at the jury portion. And yeah, I appreciate you, man.
Of course. Thank you. See y'all later.